Hi everybody. I just wanted to make a video here and talk about some things that are going on in my life and just get some things off my chest. I just felt the need to vlog and put something out there. This this year's just been like really crappy for me. It's been really hard. You know, I just feel like I worked so hard and just got discriminated against again. I This year was the year I was trying to get into law school. Although, I mean, it's been over 2 years of pursuing that goal if you count studying for the LSAT and taking the LSAT. I took the June 2016 LSAT, and I had studied for a little over a year for that. And the score they gave me was a 164, but as I've said before, I think it was nudged down a little bit. I think it was, I doubt its legitimacy, because where I was testing at was in the high 160s. And, I felt like I did even better on the real test than I was doing on the practice test, because when you're taking when you're taking your actual LSAT, although practice tests are actual LSATs, they're just actual LSATs from the past. But when you're, taking your actual LSAT, you get like a surge of adrenaline, and it just feels like it's even easier in a way because you have energy, and that's one part of that's hard with all the practice tests, is that it just gets so monotonous, such an arduous process that it's hard to maintain the energy for the full amount of time that you need to take the LSAT. But then when you actually take the real LSAT, because it's such a big moment for you and you're surrounded by a lot of people who are all, caring about their, experience as well. And everyone, you can feel the intensity in the room. And, there's, it's just a big moment, and you can feel it and sense it, and you just get a natural amount of energy. But anyway, I mean, 164 is still really high. That's way above average. But I felt like I did better, so I just don't trust that they gave me a legitimate score. But anyway, I mean, I've applied to 22 law schools to get in for fall 2017, and I've been rejected to 19 out of the 20. And I have a feeling that the last three are going to follow suit. So it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. It looks like they're just not going to let me in. It's political, and they've just decided not to allow this to become a reality, Just really sucks that I'm a political target and they just call in favors to discriminate against me. Just really sucks, because it was a lot of work, not only studying for the LSAT and, taking the LSAT and going through all the application processes and just filling out all the forms and writing the addenda. It was just a lot of work, especially for 22 law schools, because according to my research, the suggested amount of law schools to apply to is 7. So I originally did about 10, and then I started seeing the no's come in, and then I thought, oh no, I better apply to more in hopes to find, kind of that Henry Fonda in 12 Angry Men, just somebody who was willing to actually stand up for what was right, and not necessarily to like provide charity, but just equality, because I had a 164 LSAT score, which is well above average, and my cumulative undergraduate GPA was 3.41, and your LSAT score, your LSAT score, and your cumulative undergraduate GPA are the two primary determinants that law schools are looking at for whether you get in. So my numbers would have dragged up the statistics, because law schools are often bragging about their median LSAT and median undergraduate GPA, cumulative undergraduate GPA for their classes, their entering classes, and I mean, my statistics were above theirs. So, I mean, I at nearly all of the schools, at nearly all of the schools, there was only a few that I was like right on the line for, but the majority of them, I actually would have dragged up their statistics. And, 19 out of 22 have said no. And I think the last three are going to say no too, as I said. But it's just really horrible. It's been a lot of work. And, what's really crazy about it is that it's obviously illegal for them to discriminate against a frame victim. But what's really crazy is not only did they all break the law, or at least 19 out of 22 so far have broken the law, but it's illegal for them to discriminate, but it was illegal for whatever powerful people contacted these law schools and asked them to discriminate. That communication was illegal. But how did they find out which specific law schools I applied to? The Law School Admission Council must have provided them a list. And so it was illegal for the LSAC to provide those state politicians or others with clout the information of where I was applying. That was against the law. And then those state politicians or other people with clout contacted these law schools and importuned them to illegally discriminate. And that importuning was illegal. They broke the law just over and over again. And, this is all supposed to be over law school. These law schools clearly don't even care about justice. It's just political, It's sick. It just shows you like how much corruption there really is, that they can just, they can make sure that a victim of a scandal just doesn't succeed at something. Especially something that I worked so hard for. It's so insanely wrong. It just sucks. And it was just a really crappy year. And, I know that, a lot of the people who dox me, they're just going to be laughing. And maybe some of the even WCMBAs, they're just going to be laughing at this, this failure through no fault of my own, but the fact that this goal didn't succeed, not through fault of my own, but because of discrimination, obvious blackballing. Is there anyone on earth who would argue that it's anything other than blackballing? Is there anybody who would argue anything other than blackballing? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to see you try. But anyways, yeah, I know that there's going to be doxers and haters that are just, laughing at this, but they're just bad people. If anyone's sitting around preying on the downfall of a frame victim who already doesn't have much, then they're just sick people. They're just sadistic people who aren't at a good place with themselves. They're not at a good place with their lives, and they're not at a good place with themselves. And, they're just sick people. They're just sadistic people. And, they're bad. And what's interesting about that is I think a lot of the doxers and haters, I think a lot of them are just cowards. They just wanted to be on the easy side. They just wanted to be on the winning side, the beneficial side. They knew that's the wrong side. Because one thing that the people who are doxing me do is they hide in the shadows. They're not saying anything. And they're just hiding as much as they can. And the WCU MBAs, they aren't saying anything either. I posted that making a disruptor documentary on Facebook many months ago, and none of them, nobody has offered any kind of response. All the WCMBAs and the other guilty people that were involved in the scandal, they are all just remaining silent and pretending that they haven't seen it. And we all know how social media works. We know that as soon as making a disruptor documentary was made public, we know within the hour, every one of them were direct messaged. They were all made aware, and none of them are trying to fight against it. They're just sitting around pretending they haven't seen it. It's just, it's so obvious that they are completely guilty. And everything I said was true. There is not a single one of them who's willing to fight against any of it, because they are totally guilty. So it's amazing to me that people don't notice like how bad of people they are. But anyways, yeah, I'm sure that the WCMBAs and the doxers and other haters are just going to be laughing. But you know what? If you're sitting around, preying on the downfall of Stephen Avery or the Central Park Five or any one of the frame victims or victims of any kind of injustice, then you're just a bad person. You're just on the wrong side. And like I said, a lot of them I just think are cowards. They're just wusses. They just don't want to take the harder to take side that's the correct side. They'd rather take the easier to take side that's the wrong side. And that's the telltale sign of a coward. So I just think a lot of them are lame. They just don't want to fight on the right side. They want to just take the easy side. So, it's just been a crappy year, and just a lot of work that just, didn't end up paying off. But, yeah, like I said, no one's ever responded to the Making a Disruptor documentary. All the material that I posted online and everything that I stated online, nobody has ever tried to fight against it. And you can tell they're totally guilty. And the evidence too. What about you look at the student conduct file, you listen to the lecture recordings, there is nobody who can fight against that. It's just so obvious that it was a racist scandal. And it really amazes me that people don't think about the larger issues. Do you really think that, all those people who worked at WSU, whether WSU police, deans, other administrative employees, the professors, you really think that they would participate in a racist scandal that was as extreme as it was? You really think they would do that, but they're not breaking other rules in other ways too? You really believe that they're just total saints in all other respects? You really believe that? It's a cabal of racists. It's a syndicate of racists. And just look at the scandal. A college town lawyer. The lawyers in that town are supposed to be like the final stand against the university if they're out of line. And the lawyers can't be trusted. Do you really think that Roger Sandberg's the only one? You really think that? They probably take turns so that if they ever get caught, it's kind of spread out amongst them. It's just, no one thinks about the larger issues of what this stuff means. And I just consider that an injustice on its own, that people just think about only me particularly, but they don't think about how that affects all the people who would be going through WSU, going to WSU and attending that school, or even working there, anything. So it amazes me that people don't think about that. It's really sad, you know. And I mean, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do next, but I'm 31 years old and I have a lot of years ahead of me, and I know that when something doesn't work, it can really get you down at the time, and it can really be lame at the time. But um, there's a lot of time left for me to try different things, and I think that that's what I got to do. I just got to keep trying different things and chasing after goals, and I'm gonna live my life as a political target. That's just something that sucks. The government's going to be chasing me around and trying to stop me from succeeding as much as they can, because they don't want, like, if I'd become a lawyer, the profession would legitimize me, and people in the profession would be forced to choose a side on the issue. And of course, if they want to be honest, they would have to take my side. And the government doesn't want that. They don't want this to get bigger and for me to appear more professional and legitimate. They don't want other people in the profession to be forced to pick a side publicly, because who's going to take a side against me publicly? Like, who? Who would do it? Who could possibly do that and be honest? You couldn't do it. It's obviously a scandal. It's obviously a frame. And if you want to appear as a good lawyer, you would have to choose the side of the frame victim and argue for their rights. So they don't want that kind of legitimacy. The government doesn't want that kind of legitimacy. So, but it's not just that. They're gonna try and stop me from succeeding at everything, and I know that. But I think just continuing to fight and doing this, documenting the situations as they go, and using social media, using technology to spread the word, keep people in the know, and kind of build the social media empire, getting more people to follow and be on my Facebook friends list, and just getting a stronger presence online so more people find out about this. And when I do document the corruption, it has a more powerful effect of protecting me and protecting my interests. So I think that's important. But like I said, a lot of people don't think about the larger issues. Just recently, I was looking at the pictures of the WSU police officers, because as many of you know, I stated in my Making a Disruptor documentary that the deans and associate deans at WSU, the higher ups, are predominantly white. And look at the pictures of the WSU police officers. They're predominantly white too. And some of their pictures, they just have a generic like missing picture next to a name. But even those names look like the majority of those missing picture people would be white as well. I mean, it's so obviously a racist institution, not just because of the situation that happened to me and the evidence that comes out of that case that proves that it's an obviously racist institution. But when you just look at the institution itself, there's something very wrong with having that many white people working the important jobs. I don't believe, and I don't believe you would believe either, that it's all just an accident. Especially when it's not just looking at that alone, but especially when you add in the factor of listening to the recordings that came out of my case. When you listen to like the April 1st recording, for example, that and think about the fact that student who's being harassed and having racist comments said to them was framed, and the deans, WSU police, participated, and the university covered it all up, and they refused to overturn the conviction. I mean, it is an obviously racist institution, and it sucks that people don't think about the larger issues, because it's not just me. I mean, you could forget about me any day of the week, but you would still have to think about the fact that there is a syndicate of racists that are controlling the second largest university in the state. You have to think about that. You have to think about it. If you want to call yourself a moral person, you have to think about that. So, anyways, I just wanted to get a lot of things off my chest and just speak my mind. And, I, I just, I just don't know. I don't know how to feel exactly. Like, it just sucks to have all this work, go to nothing, but, at least I'm documenting the corruption, and there's still many things for me to do in life. So I just feel like, I just got to keep trying different things, and just going forward and documenting the corruption as it goes. So for those who are following this just because you want to support a framed victim and peer into my life, thank you for listening. And I'll continue to post more content. So everyone have a good day.